Yo, what's up, Goes here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Sten and Welgun. And I want to make this comparison because aside from the Welgun, the Sten was like the only other SMG that ended up getting changed in the Season 2 Reloaded update, and instead of it getting nerfed, it actually ended up getting buffed. But in my opinion, I think the buff was just kind of weak. Like, I feel like they could have done a lot more to make that Sten a little bit more competitive, because once you guys hear what they actually changed, I feel like, you know, it just wasn't enough, and I feel like a lot of you guys agree with me on that. And we'll get into the change shortly. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later in a few seconds, but for now, you know, doing the little intro. But yeah, man, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. 100,000. Your boy just hit 1.93k, so thank you guys for that. We're about 70 subs away from 2,000, so every sub does greatly help, and it's very appreciated. And also, man, if you guys do me a favor, following me over at my Twitch channel, I always goes _. I tend to stream there whenever I can. Typically, I've been streaming like on my off days of work and just playing REBIRTH and vibing. So if you want to vibe over there, you know, head over there and hit me with the follow. Be greatly appreciated as well. And yeah, with that being said, let's just get into the comparison. Then we have the Recoil Pattern for the Sten, which, as you guys can see, is actually not too crazy. And to be honest, like, it doesn't shoot up as fast as some of these other SMGs, and so, like, theoretically this gun should have like a little bit of recoil, low recoil. But I gotta say, man, maybe it's just my class setup. It's most definitely my class setup, but the recoil definitely kind of feels noticeable at certain ranges. Like, it just feels like when I get to a certain range, I just really can't hit anything or just kill fast enough. It's just kind of weird, because I don't know, I feel like the Sten is just definitely still lacking even with this buff, because the buff they ended up doing was one that I feel like was just not enough. Because the only thing they ended up buffing was the magazine size. So for the 7.62 Recoil magazine, they ended up going from 32 rounds to 36 rounds. For the .45 ACP mag, 28 to 32, and then for the 9mm mag, 20 to 28. Now, all those in itself are still like a low amount of just bullets, because if you take a look at the other SMGs, you got the Owen gun with like 72. The Welgun has 40 to 64. The MP40 got like 45. And you're telling me this Sten is supposed to compete with those SMGs with only having a 36 max magazine? That's kind of bad. And on top of that, like, in the patch notes, the reasoning for increasing the magazine size only was because apparently on paper the Sten like has an incredibly compelling stat line. That's directly from the patch notes. That's exactly what it says. First line, that's what it says. And I looked at the stats, and I gotta say, bro, those stats definitely do not look compelling. I know I made a video on the Sten like a while ago, and I think in that video I was kind of gassing it, but I think I might have been on something, bro, because this gun, like, definitely, I can see the potential. Like, in a clip like this, bro, like, you see how fast it can kill, man, and how good it looks. But when you start using it more, when you start going up against different guns, like the Welgun, the MP40, people that actually can shoot back, like, you realize, like, yo, this is kind of a tough gun to really use, because it just doesn't feel like it competes with those type of weapons. And again, like, I just feel like I don't understand why they negated buffing it a little bit more, because in my opinion, when you guys hear the stats a little bit later, that doesn't really sound compelling. Like, it doesn't sound like a gun that's gonna take over the game. And if you only give it an extra 4 bullets, it's not really gonna help when you got guns that got double the size of this. Like, literally, the Owen gun has double the size of its, like, the max ammo capacity for a Sten. And the Owen gun is, like, really, really good. Damage wise, it's amazing. Like, fire rate wise is a little lacking, but like, that gun on paper is amazing, and it's given 72 bullets. This gun on paper is moderate, and it's only given 36. It's kind of strange how they're doing things over there. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they end up giving it a nerf, because I think this gun deserves more of a nudge than what it already got, because this, in my opinion, is just not enough. And I'm sure a lot of you guys probably feel the same way. And if you've used the Sten, you know what I'm saying, like, you would know that a magazine change isn't really, like, it's a step in the right direction. It definitely needed more ammo, but not only did I think they botched it, because I feel like it needs even more ammo still, and it also just needs, like, something else. But man, anyways, with that being said, let's just go over to the Welgun and the stats. And here are the recoil pattern for the Welgun, and this recoil pattern actually goes the opposite direction than a Sten gun, but this gun has like no recoil, so you know, they're pretty much polar opposites in my opinion. And then again, I haven't fully maxed out the Sten, and I don't think I have the right Sten class. Actually, I should have asked that. Yo, if you guys have a Sten class, let the kid know, because I feel like I was lacking on the Sten class, and that's part of the reason why like I was feeling like I was struggling with the gun, because I just couldn't figure out like a really good class setup. So you guys have a good class setup, let me know, because I really need it. But anyways, man, like I mentioned earlier, this gun actually ended up getting nerfed. The nerf wasn't too big of a deal because it really doesn't matter, because this gun's still the same. This gun doesn't really feel weak in any form. It's still really good, and you know, it's just nothing to really talk about. But if you want to know more about the nerf, look at my last video. It goes more into detail. Anyway, but anyways, we're gonna move over to the stats because again, the developer said that these were compelling stats, and they only decided to make a magazine change because these stats on paper, they felt like it was only getting throttled by magazine size. But you guys are going to be the judge of that. I guess I'll be the judge of that as well. But anyways, for the first set of stats we're going to talk about is the fire rate. For the Sten, we have a 666 RPM, which isn't that bad because the Welgun actually has a 643. So the Sten actually beats the Welgun in the MP40 and the only gun in terms of fire rate. And those three are like the three-headed like monster in the SMG category, because you know those are like the three best. And the Sten has a faster fire rate than all three of them, which is actually absurd. It's a really good thing because it shows that the Sten has the foundation to compete with all these good guns. It's just when it gets to the damage and the magazine size, that's where it just kind of gets throttled completely. Because you know, now we're moving over to the damage. This is where it gets a little bit weird, because I feel like the Sten, this is where it really needed to get buffed, but they decided to not do it. But you know, only who knows why they didn't do it. So for 0 to 60 meters for the Sten, we got 42 damage to the head, 35 to the neck, 29 to the chest and stomach, and then 27 to the extremities. Then for the Welgun 0 to 13.3 meters, you got 53 damage to the head, 42 to the neck, 36 to the chest, 33 to the stomach and extremities. So obviously the Welgun has a lot of advantage in damage. The Sten doesn't have that much, like aside from the headshot and like neck damage, like all the other damages are not really impressive. They don't really pop out to you, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't slightly buff some of these damages. Like if you really want the Sten to compete, don't just up the magazine size, which again, it still needs like a couple more bullets in that mag, but you need to up the damage a little bit, just a tad bit, man. Don't be stingy, just a little bit, man, so you can make this gun 100% competitive with all these other SMGs. Because if this one, like, we're comparing this, like, the Sten is being compared to the weakest gun of the three best SMGs in the game. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I think the MP40 might be. It's like about the same as the Welgun, or slightly above the Welgun. So you know. But anyways, like, if the Sten was compared to all the other three good SMGs, it would be the weakest one. And like it would have the fire rate by a little bit, but like it's still the weakest one. And on top of that, it doesn't have any ammo. Anyways, moving over to the longer ranges for 16 to 20 meters or 28 meters, my bad. For the Sten, you got 34 damage to the head, 28 to the neck, 23 to the chest, 23 to the stomach, 22 to the extremities. And then for 28 meters and above, 27 to the head, 23 to the neck, 19 to the chest and stomach, 18 to the extremities. And for the Welgun at 13.3 to 18.6 meters, you got 46 damage to the head, 37 to the neck, 31 to the chest, 29 to the stomach and extremities. For 18.6 meters and above, you got 37 damage to the head, 30 to the neck, 25 to the chest, 23 to the stomach and extremities. So again, obviously the Welgun has a clear advantage in damage to the Sten in just all ranges. And to be honest, like this comparison isn't really about which gun is better. It was just to more so see if the Sten is good. And I think the Sten definitely is okay. Like, it's not a gun that is completely terrible and you should never use. It's just not enough to make it compete with some of these SMGs, or at least have people consider that the Sten could be really good. That's the way I see it. Like, the Sten, I think, isn't obviously that bad, but if you wanted to get considered as a competitive weapon, you need to do more than what you did, because right now it's just another one of those weapons where kind of people just look at it and they're just like, I don't really want to use it, you know. Like, you acknowledge that it's not that bad, but you'd rather use something else. It's kind of like, I don't know, what gun I compare this, like the Model for Cold War. Like maybe like a P90, I think, something like that. I don't know. Like, it's just one of those guns where you sometimes might use, maybe not, just use for fun or something, but never really use it seriously. Whereas, like, you know, Welgun, Owen gun, and MP40, these are your meta guns, you know. So I don't know, man. I feel like they laid down the foundation for the change of the Sten. I feel like they at least acknowledge that it exists. So hopefully in the future, we can see some more changes to the Sten, because I really feel like this could be a really good SMG. They just need to properly change it, and I'm hoping that this isn't the last change we see on the Sten, because it's still, in my opinion, lacking something else. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna agree with me on that, but if not, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about the Sten. Yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.